quite a change for today's weather.
Yes, yes.
I'm not complaining. Exactly, though.
Okay, so the after color, I should have asked, I didn't want to, were you filming it?
No, I was not.
Oh, okay, I should ask it, so.
It's filming now.
What did, okay. So what all did it? What did they talk about? Yes. Yes, that's, okay, that was the one thing I was gonna ask.
Yes.
Okay, since I was late. Well, and I saw that on News 7, and then I saw that in red, and, I mean, I knew that, I read it the last
I
week.
put it in bold red for you.
Yeah, like, I knew that.
Just kind of,
Hey, it's okay, look. I forgot to bring my skeleton.
so they in the right.
The one that she said. Where does she live? Okay, well, she was, I had never seen her.
She just knew she had.
Yes. She was, I was scared that she's gonna be one out. Well, where does she usually stay out back, or she usually, I've never seen that dog before.
Oh,
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
So she is directly across.
From what she said.
Okay, and you know, I very rarely see a meeting.
How you doing?
You escaping?
Trying to. Trying to.
I think so. Yes, okay, so I need to, no, and I wonder if she got outside, or I have never seen that dog before. Is she older, how old is she? Yeah.
You know, she's probably 60 now.
Okay.
She's not very old.
What does she got to call?
Yeah, I don't know Tracy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So she has engineers. Too far gone. But we should already be finishing design. We should be finishing the design phase, right?
And I don't know how many cars stopped, and I was in the future, and I got. And she just, and she just sit in the middle of the road. She just sit there. It's like, okay, and I was trying, and then finally she came over there and said, of course, she was on the phone, of course, she's.
So read the cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she was real sweet.
Numbers, things like that.
Okay. Well, now that I know, but I wouldn't know if she ever.
No, I actually-
They don't have a fenced in yard. Did she get out of the house, or, I mean, why is she, why is she, yeah.
Pursuing.
I mean, I wouldn't,
You betcha.
it's one thing if they get out there, if she's outside all the time.
Email
So
to
now
the-
she's decided she wants to start.
No.
They're the only ones that are.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I can't believe that pays fine there.
It's been tough.
Yeah.
How did he get down here?
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, I accused her not even giving me a shot.
The last.
I didn't feel it. It's good. I never had a place to live. I was depressed,
I
and
had it for
I
6
can't
months.
believe it's so bad.
I
don't think he did it. I asked him, I said, "You sure?"
We don't have anything to show for
But
it.
Kenny got a look, not that around, and it's not, and he had a little bit serious. But, he still, she could feel the number.
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
That's not my.
Right. Well, and I have another issue.
Well, if I only had one that would do that.
Yeah. Was he a sweet dog? He was sweet. Beautiful dog he
We
was.
have to do all of you.
You know, I don't see a lot of kids that year. So maybe I
Oh,
just
no, so
don't,
what we're doing is. we're
then maybe I
gonna
just
have
have to hire us.
They will look at taking our information.
Today would have been a beautiful day.
Yeah,
Like,
Thank you, Kim, I'll let you know.
No, 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 no.
There's not.
And I like.
Let's read it.
Okay, so
Walking through
it sure beats last week. Get lost lower back and then sit down and unleg, and it just about goes down. So I made it already. But I remember I was favorite girls said, that's too tall, like short. I thought they did. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll do the same. Susie, your husband. Good, how are you?
See you, babe.
Bye.
Careful going home.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It's better than I forgot.
You're supposed to.
I didn't have time to get that off or sit down and start really this project. I was just going right now.
And I'm walking.
I'm serious. This is last week. And I guess I lost.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
That's
So
Katie
that-
business.
We don't let you pour.
Right.
Who's arrested? Who?
Yes, I did. Not back here.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Would anybody care for library information?
Sorry. No, I'm glad you. That was one question I.
I'm the one that may be doing it. So we would do ours, we regularly do ours at 3. And their official time, whenever they do the teachers, would probably be 4. But how it would be was whenever we get done and right.
Okay, sure.
Unless it's, which I need to get with you, and it might be bumped up. So it would technically be just an hour after Mulder's or Shaw.
Okay, and ours starts at 3.
Yes. Now, if we have to change that time,
To an hour earlier or something.
yeah, it's just, I think the first time we'll see, how things go, how long it's gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be a lot longer than we might bump up. I don't see if we can maybe bump up the time to, that way we're not here all night.
And she said that the.
But as right now, 3 is ours, and there's 2.
So she said that Ty is really concerned about the work. And so I was like, that's what I thought.
It's the.
When I just didn't want to broadcast it, Shelley, so.
Yeah.
You get that straight down.
We might have to look at
Six is not working. No. It was not lit up. It was just this afternoon.
Do we have?
Yours is on, yep. No, it's not on now. Yes. Yeah, you're on now.
Just a one, two, I've got 1 minute.
3,
till
1, or
7
8?
o'clock.
You see 3, 1, or 8?
So,
Nope.
What's the number on that?
2.
All right. what's the-
Denise's spot is 6. Nope.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, I have 7 o'clock at this time, so I'll call the Mulberry City Council to order. You'll stand, we'll have the open prayer and pledge of allegiance. Father in heaven, we do thank you so much for a beautiful day that you've given us to enjoy. Lord, thank you for the sunshine, the warm temperature we had. And Lord, you are in control, and you give us seasons of the year, and we're very, very grateful. We thank you, Lord, for all of our council. We thank you, Lord, for those that are here tonight. And we pray, Lord, for those that are not here, those that are suffering through different ailments in our community, those that may have contracted the coronavirus. We pray, Lord, that you would give them a full and complete recovery. Those that are struggling with financial needs or relationship needs or other needs, we pray, Lord, that you would just wrap your arms of love around them and provide for every need that they have. We pray, Lord, for our military and those that are given of their time and talents for our safety and protection, our fire department, our police department, law enforcement, EMS, first responders, and our health care officials. Those, Lord, that are making life better for each one of us. We pray you protect them and keep them all in Watch County, keep them safe. Help us to make the positive decisions that would be the betterment of our community and our citizens. And use us all the way, Lord of Christ, which is in we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. This time I'll have roll call.
Sheila Trent. Here. Wilma Peavy. Here. Bobby Tweedy.
Here.
Kimberly Bruce. Here. Stacy Hunt. Jimmy Moore.
Here.
Carla Sutherland. Gary Baxter.
Here, and we do have a quorum, and we are just, like I say, throughout our community, we have a lot of illness, and we have a lot of people that are struggling, so we want to always remember those. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, the January minutes and the financial statements that were mailed to you. You all had time to go over them, council. And so are there any corrections, additions, changes that need to be made to those reports or statements or minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any further discussions or comments? If not, Kim?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Next, on the, agenda is, our departmental reports. And the first departmental report is from our police department. Is Chief Gregory here?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We had a fairly busy month, just like always. We had 162 calls. Had 15 felony arrests, 9 misdemeanor arrests, 59 traffic stops, 25 citations, 426 building checks. Everything's rocking right along. We've got some struggles coming up that we're working on, but we are going to come out on top. Anybody got any questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chief. Next, departmental report is, Public Works. Mr. Jim Julian is here. Mr. Julian, come to give you a report.
Good evening. I'm sitting there. How's everyone doing? Obviously, we've had a busy week.
Yeah.
And we hung in there. My guys hung in there. The phone kept ringing. It would ring because I'm on the emergency call number for the city for water and for sewer. And it would ring, and my guys would respond. Alex just barely got home. He wasn't in the house a minute. I said, Alex, you gotta go such and such. And we kept shutting the water off and whatever was happening. Our meters held together, all except for one meter. And that's pretty good for all the ones we've got in the ground. We had a quick response from everybody. To the mayor's suggestion, we had trouble at Vine Prairie, of course, and we took them all water down there a couple of times. We lost the 2-inch water line across the Vine Prairie Bridge. We got it restored back. They got 50 pounds of pressure down there now. We got to replace the backflow preventer that crosses the bridge on the south side. But I've got one in the shop that we don't have to go and spend $3,100 on at this time. And we'll put it together. Everything is good. Everybody's working except one customer, and that's still tied out on Wire Road. And I spoke with Keith this afternoon. We're going to pull his meter tomorrow and find out what his problem is. Is there any questions?
You just have the one that doesn't have water now.
Ma'am?
Do you just have one customer that doesn't have water now?
There's several out there that don't have water, but they're rent houses. And it's up to, and some of the rent owners have come in, and some of the people that live in the rent houses have come in and responded to getting them fixed, and we can give them directions on the easiest way to do this. Cut it out, take it down to your local hardware store, show the guy what you got, and he'll show you how to build it. If you're not a plumber, and then you can put it back together. But we make suggestions like that, and that's all we can do.
What about down at Park? Now, we have anybody down there that's having any problems with their water or electric or anything like that?
The water's been restored down there. There's 50 pounds of pressure. I put it on last night. For some reason, we just barely have to crack a 2-inch meter that's on the side of Vine Prairie Road down there. And I checked it, and they had good flow last night. I checked it today, and they had 50 pounds of pressure. And the electric is good also. I mean, through what we went through, Mulberry wasn't ready for it, but I think my guys responded good. And everybody, we got support from the town, we got support from the police and the fire department, everybody that we needed to get support, and especially the mayor.
So did the smart meters perform like when someone would have a leak? Did it tell you like it was supposed
Well,
to?
yeah, yes, ma'am, I won't be smart by this, it telling me it's squirting up in the air.
But you know, I heard from somebody, they just got it and didn't have water. And I said, well, that's the thing about these smart meters. If you've got it going out somewhere, it will tell you, right?
And usually as cold as it was in zero weather, it showed us automatically.
Great, great. I was just hoping that those smart meters work like they were supposed to.
They did, they performed in,
Right.
in the temperature. Oh, like I said, oh, we just lost one, and that was a domestic person.
Like I said, out of all the meters that we have, just to have one meter that failed, and as cold as it was,
Yes.
we were really pleased with the,
Yes.
Can you check, can a customer check their meter themselves to see if they have a leak?
could we, Monica is working with that, and she works with Deborah, that is in our water department, and as far as monitoring that. So Monica, would you kind of explain how that works?
Sure. Yes, any customer that has a smart meter on their meter box can sign up to be able to look at that meter online. Now, it's not in real time. It only uploads data at midnight every night.
Right.
So if I look at it right now, I'm looking at yesterday's data. So it's not real time. You can't just automatically see, but you can see what's happening. And the cost of that is $1 a month is what we charge for that customer to have access to look at their meter. And they get an email address and can look at it whenever they want to.
Is that something we could put on the water bill so people would know?
We have.
Oh, okay. I don't probably pay some water bill, so.
Any other questions?
No, thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you very much.
Good job, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we have the fire department report. For the month of January, there were 23 total incidents, 2 fires, 20 rescue emergency medical service, and 1 good intent. What I wanted to show council is for the year of 2020, for all the year, in our fire department for the year, we had a total of 293 incidents, 37 fires. One is called overpressure, rupture, explosion, or overheat. 221 rescue emergency medical services. 7 hazardous conditions with no fire. 1 service call, 18 good intent calls. 4 false calls. 3 severe weather and natural disaster calls, and 1 special incident type. That was for the year. Actually, there was 14 building fires, 27 medical assisted EMS crews, 168 emergency medical service, others, and then 15 motor vehicle accidents with injuries. That was for the entire year of 2020 from the fire department. Is there any questions we need to get further? Okay. Next, I have old business, and there's done indicated, and then we'll go right into new business. And the first that is not on your list is it come up is the zoning ordinance variation, ordinance number 2021-01. And I think y'all have that, but Monica, would you come to the podium and read this ordinance?
Okay, ordinance number 2021-1, an ordinance to approve a variance to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142. Whereas the Mulberry Planning Commission has approved a variance to zoning ordinance number 142, whereas the Mulberry City Council also approves this variance. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Mulberry, Arkansas, Section 1, that a variance to ordinance number 142 be granted, allowing the real property described below to be rezoned from residential 1/agriculture to residential 4, Alma Avenue north of the cemetery. That all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. And I would like to mention that because there's never been a house on this property, it does not have a 911 address. That's why it's listed as just Alma Avenue north of this, immediately north of the cemetery. And this is an ordinance.
So, council,
Have we had complaints? Somebody objecting?
I wanted, before we talk about that, I'd like to, someone would like to suspend the rules and, this is read only, that way we'll go and we'll discuss it.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Second.
Motion made to suspend the rules and read this ordinance by title only. Kim?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2021-01, an ordinance to approve a variance to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142.
I make a motion to approve the ordinance, or to suspend the rules and have a third reading by title only.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to have the third final reading, title only of this ordinance 2021-01.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All yes?
Ordinance number 2021-01, an ordinance to approve a variance to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142.
We have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Now, is there any discussion before you vote? Any comments? Everyone got that package, you know where it is, what we're talking about? And Mr. Moore was on the planning and zoning
Anything you tell me?
commission. Would you like to address the commission?
Yes, this couple lives in Fort Smith. They bought this property and they want to move a mobile home on it. They live in, and they're planning on building a home on the property once they sell their home in Fort Smith. But they want a home, granted, it is a new mobile home, but it, get the sewer and electric all fixed up, and then they want to build a home there against it.
And this is a 9.5 acre lot.
Yeah.
And that's what we're we didn't have a problem with it at all.
Since it's in the location, there's not sewer there, so they will be putting a septic system. And then the city will put the water to their property line, but just to the property, and they'll run it from the property lines to where they want it from the property. Any other discussion? Motion made and seconded. Kim?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's unanimous that ordinance is approved. Next is resolution 2021-01. Monica, could you read resolution 2021-01?
Resolution number 2021-01, be it resolved by the City Council of Mulberry, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application for ACEDP grant funds to the State of Arkansas. Whereas Mulberry is applying for funds through the Arkansas Community and Economic Development Program. And whereas it is necessary that certain conditions be met as part of the application requirements. And whereas Mulberry has or will conduct a public hearing and has an active citizen participation plan, community development plan, and as part of the application process has received and considered comments on community development and housing needs and proposed activities. And whereas, as a result of the community development planning activities, Mulberry has identified and prioritized the community development and housing needs. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Mulberry, Arkansas, that the mayor of Mulberry is hereby authorized on behalf of Mulberry to submit an application to the state of Arkansas for grant funds under the community development provisions of the Arkansas Community and Economic Development Program, and to expend funds to accomplish such community development activities if the grant is awarded.
This resolution 2021-01 is a result of the public hearing meeting we just had. And so do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I make a motion to approve.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve resolution 2021-01. Is there any discussion on this? I said this was for the expansion to the food pantry using CARES Act, AECD, the Community Block Grant Award. So we'll make the application and see if we get that. It had to be a minimum of 75,000, maximum of 300,000, and that is the result. Is any comments, questions on this? Okay, motion been made and seconded. Kim?
Yes.
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
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 Okay. Next on the agenda is another resolution, resolution 2021-02. Monica, could you read that?
City of Mulberry, Arkansas, resolution number 2021-02, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the city of Dyer, Arkansas to locate the Dyer Department of the Crawford County District Court in the city of Mulberry, Arkansas. Whereas the city of Mulberry, Arkansas has developed a large court facility with the ability to handle more cases than generated by the city of Mulberry alone. Whereas the city of Dyer, Arkansas currently has its district court department located in Van Buren, Arkansas. Whereas both the city of Mulberry and the city of Dyer believe that the citizens of both cities will be better served with Dyer's court relocating to the city of Mulberry. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Mulberry, Arkansas as follows. Section 1. The City Council hereby authorizes the mayor to negotiate and enter into such agreements as may be necessary to relocate the Dyer Department of the Crawford County District Court to the court facility in Mulberry, Arkansas, with associated clerk and court duties. Section 2, the City Council hereby authorizes the mayor and recorder treasurer to execute any documents necessary to accept the court.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve this resolution 2021-02 in bringing the Dyer Court to our court here. Currently, Dyer Court is held in Van Buren, and so since we have a larger facility now, and it would be more advantageous to both Mulberry and to Dyer for Dyer's court to be held here at the same time as our court, and it would be with the same agreement that the Dyer Court and Van Buren have at this time. So it'll be a win-win for Mulberry and for Dyer to do this. Dyer City Council approved this at their last council meeting. And so with the approval of the Mulberry Council, then it will go to the district judge who will sign it. And so it takes 3 signatures, the signature from each mayor and the district judge. And the district judge already said that his approval will be granted for this. And then it will go to the state administrative office of courts, and it'll be documented and it'll be moved here. Probably take a couple of months, I believe.
It will be held the same day.
They held the same day, same time. Do you have any questions? If you do, we've got our court clerk here, we've got chief police here, Mike's here, anybody can answer any questions related to this. All right, motion been made and seconded,
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
next, on the agenda, let's go to, resolution number 2021-03. This, came in just a little later. Monica, would you read this resolution?
I will, and if I could preface it by saying, before I read the resolution, so I apologize, I was not sure I was going to get the annual financial statements done and the budget fully checked over and everything else before, and I didn't have it in time to send out in your packets. But this resolution is based on, nothing changed, the December 31st financial statements that you approved in January. And then the second part of this, it'll be a separate motion, but the annual financial statements that you have are also based on those same reports. No numbers changed, everything reconciled. I had no issues or anything that I had to change from the reports that you approved in January. This is just the format that we have to provide for the state for the annual financial statements. So with that being said, I will read the resolution. Resolution number 2021-03, a resolution to amend resolution number 2019-14, the budget resolution for 2020, reconciling beginning and fund balances and for other purposes. The end of the year balances of all city funds are now available, and the city council wishes to show fiscal responsibility by providing for the most up-to-date and accurate budget figures available. Now therefore be it ordained by the city council of the city of Mulberry, Arkansas, section 1, that resolution number 18-14, the original budget resolution for 2020, shall be amended to read as printed on the succeeding 23 pages of this resolution, which are hereby incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Section 3, if any provision of this resolution is held invalid or unconstitutional, it shall be deemed severable and separable, and the remaining provisions shall remain in full force and effect.
Do you have a motion to approve resolution 2021-03? Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve this resolution 2021-03. It's something that you do every year. And like Monica said, it's the exact same numbers as what you approved in January in the year of 2020. Are there any questions, comments on this?
This will just have to read on the 23rd, day of February instead of the 16th.
Well, it absolutely will, and if you will make that amendment to that, please.
Okay, I move to amend the date on the resolution from 16th day of February to the 23rd day of February.
Okay, motion been made to change that date on this from the 16th to the 23rd. Second? The second? Okay, Kim?
Yes.
Yes.
She said.
Yes.
You said.
Yes.
Yes, okay, now that changed. Now, do we have a motion to approve resolution 2021-03? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
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 Then that is unanimous on resolution. Now, Monica, would you go over for, we need to vote on the 2020 financial.
Right, and this may be overkill. I don't know if it's actually required or not, because you did approve the January, or approved the December 31st financial statements,
Right.
and you have now approved the budget resolution. But just for the sake of auditors in the event, I would ask that you move to approve the annual financial statement. This will be published. This is what is required by the city to be published in our 5 places for 2020.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made. Second. Any other discussion? If not,
Yes.
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 okay. That has been approved, the 2025 statement. Next, we've got a proposal of a timber contract for the removal of timber from the water treatment plant. We don't exactly have that contract here available, but I've asked Shannon Phipps from the water superintendent to come and talk to you and tell you about what this proposal is going to be. Would you come to say?
Good evening. Yeah, this is a timber contract. We're looking for, we looked for quite a while to try to find someone to harvest the timber there and actually bring in some revenue for the city. Maybe to repair the roads out there or whatever the city might need it for, I guess. And because it's, the deal is we're gonna have to, with the expansion, a number of those trees are gonna have to be removed anyway. And if we don't sell them, then they're just gonna be cut down for nothing and hauled off and burned or whatever. And also, it would help us to get trees away from the clarifier over there. A lot of times, some of that stuff is blowing into the clarifier, which puts organics into the water, which we have to fight, and in turn have to fight. So we needed some of those actually cleared away too. Also, just in a lot of places, they're getting pretty thick, and it's not letting the younger trees grow up. It's kind of, crowding out the others. And so it wouldn't be a bad deal at all for the city to sell some and make some money off of it, anyway. But like I say, we just had a hard time finding anybody. So we finally found somebody that is willing to do it. And so we got to the point of getting a contract with them. I'm trying to set up a meeting right now. I've contacted both parties and trying to set up a meeting between the buyer and the city, and getting Sean Brister also involved with that, which he already is because he's wanted to come up with a contract. So that is hopefully next week. The buyer was busy this week, was unable to attend, but said he could come next week. So if I can get them together, and then I'll be there, and maybe the mayor if he can make it, and whoever else can make it. But anyway, so the contract, basically, what the city was looking for is, we have the water to protect, of course. So we made sure they knew, and it's also in the contract will be made known that we have to have that buffer zone, between, so we can't harvest anything or not much anyway. And, we have to pretty much leave that buffer zone alone, with maybe a few exceptions in a few places. But so we have to have that. No clear cutting, so we do not want to clear cut at all in any of that. They will only be getting certain trees, and that would be like 11-inch or more, but they won't take all of them because some of them aren't, they won't be getting every tree that's that size because some do not make good lumber trees, they make good timber trees. So there'll be some that less than perfect or that will not be harvested that size. But there should still be quite a few for them to harvest, and therefore some money to be made for the city, hopefully. So basically, we put this together, and what it says is, I'll just read it. It's not real long, so I'll read it. It says, the seller having the right to sell, this article, or section, part 1, or the first one. The seller having the right to sell agrees to sell to the buyer who agrees to buy, upon the conditions hereinafter stated, all timber that has been designated as follows: trees greater than 11 inches in diameter, trees marked for removal with red paint on trunk and stump. Number 2, timber shall be removed from land owned by the seller described as Mulberry Water Plant property. The parties shall review the boundaries to ensure no timber is cut from adjoining property. seller, and we will do that. We'll go with, make sure they know, it's a fence line there, so it's pretty much easy to, no, there's a fence line around pretty much all of it. Timber shall be removed, let's see, seller is, legal owner of said timber and warrants the title to the timber hereby conveyed against the lawful claims of all third parties. And on the price there's a, I'm not sure, there was a mix up there somewhere. That's one of the, number 4 would be one of the ones that we will, iron out at the meeting, because it's, somehow the wrong numbers got there, but we're gonna get that there. And also, we're looking at between, the difference between tonnage and load of timber. So that's another thing that we're gonna get worked out, and the mayor and Sean and several others, and I agree also that needs to be, we're probably gonna look at the tonnage rather than load, because load can almost be anything. And so we're either gonna get out or make sure that, there's some clarification of what a load of lumber is. That all timber marked or products included in this contract until paid for in full shall remain as the property of the seller, which is the city. And then they got number 6 was the dates that it's in effect until we got it until July 1st, which should be well before that. That should be taken care of. Trees may not be left hanging on other trees. Here, and we're getting into some here that are really important, I think, for the the water treatment, the property up there that we just don't want it messed up. It says all litter resulting from the logging operation must be removed from the woods. So they're gonna, all the litter that they cause, they're gonna clean up. The buyer shall not be responsible for damage to roads. That's because the roads are already not in good shape anyway. So when they go over them, they're probably gonna mess them up a little more, but it's not gonna tear them up much more than they are already. And they're gonna be torn up when they do the upgrade or the expansion. The roads are gonna get, the trucks be coming in like crazy, and they're gonna mess up the roads anyway. So that's part of what maybe this money can be used for, to repair the roads after the expansion, but no sense to do it before the expansion because everything's to be torn up anyway. So, so that's why, they were concerned about that. There's like no reason to be concerned because the roads are already messed up. Number 11, harvesting operations should be conducted according to best management practices, as recommended by the Arkansas Department of Agriculture, Division of Forestry, and the Arkansas Extension Service. That's an important point. Buyer agrees to indemnify and hold the seller harmless from responsibility for any injury, death, or property damage caused by the buyer's logging operation in the sale area during the tenure of the agreement. So we're not going to, whatever happens, if they get hurt doing this, we're not responsible. City is not responsible. It's their equipment, their work. They are contracting. We're not responsible for any death, damage, property, anything that happens to their stuff. So that's a good, gotta get that in there. Both parties understand that the buyer is an independent contractor and not an employee of the seller. 14, buyer agrees to furnish current certificates for workers' compensation and public liability insurance. Again, that's on them. Seller, that's us, may suspend operations, including removal of cut timber, if conditions of the contract are violated. Violations of the conditions of the contract are sufficient grounds for termination. In other words, if we see them doing something they shouldn't be doing, or they're not doing it properly, then we can stop them at any time. So we can say, null and void, you messed up, you violated the contract, so that's it. Any modifications or amendments to this contract must be mutually agreed upon, written, dated, signed by both parties and witnessed. So just good legal thing there. And then the one is prior to commencing harvesting operations, the buyer. Okay, well that was one we're looking at. We're going to meet about the bond. 18, this agreement shall be binding on the heirs, administrators, executors, successors, or assigns of both parties. And 19, should any provision of this agreement require court action for enforcement, the prevailing party shall be entitled to reasonable attorney's fees and costs. And then there's a place for it to be signed. So basically just pretty good. Sean did a good job on that, putting that together. And we are gonna have a face-to-face meeting also, iron out some of the other little details and make sure to get that price right, and just, a few little minor details, but that's, in effect, it's pretty close to what it'll be. So any questions or anything?
What area are they actually going to be removed from?
Everything back 300 feet from the water, and then all the property. There's some places where there's more than others. It's really going to help us that we can get some out of the In fact, it would be a big benefit to the city and the emergency spillway, emergency spillway area there. There's a lot of trees down through there that needed to be cleaned out anyway, and we were trying to get, whether Cass, yeah, trying to get those guys to come in and do that, and they were just gonna take them out, and probably, pile them and burn them. So this way, city can get some money for them in the emergency spillway area, and then basically anywhere away from the water, about 300 feet from the water, and, away from that, they're kind of sporadic through there, but the ones around the water treatment plant itself would be good, because those are gonna come out anyway. The ones on the, east side of the clarifier, they're the ones putting the, pine needles and everything in our clarifier. They're blowing, you have to get a very big wind. We're digging them out. Again, that's organics. You have to find extra chemicals to treat it with. So that'll help to get those out. And then, basically just thinning them out a lot. That'll help a lot. The only thing I really want to watch for, and that's why it's good to have us up there. We're going to monitor all the operations and make sure that they don't just go there and knock out a bunch of other trees, get to the ones they want. That's one concern. I'm going to have to watch for that. We don't want them, plowing down the others. I mean, they're going to have to get in there. We understand that, but they should be able to do it without tearing down a bunch of others, the younger trees, because that's what we want to stay up there.
Are all of the pines that are taken out?
Yeah, pretty much all pine. There's not a lot of hardwood up there. Yeah. What little there is probably not enough for the harvest to make it. So it's mostly going to be pine.
You said that they would cut the ones that were marked. Who's going to actually mark them?
There's going to be areas where we're probably going to mark them, but other areas where they just, it's like, okay, in this section right here, we don't have to mark all of it, because it's basically any of the ones that, there's enough of the small, younger trees coming in that, actually taking out some of those big ones will help the smaller ones grow up, and, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I watch, because I don't want them just, knocking all those down, trying to get to the big ones. So that's what we'll have to watch and be careful of. But, there's whole areas there, sections where it's just like everything in this section over 11 inches you can take, but just make sure to leave the younger trees, and,
Will you set a time limit on this?
Pardon?
Will you set a time limit for them to do this?
Well, we got till, they put on there July 1st, I think, but it's taking a little longer. I think they thought they could start, so we might, since it's taking a little while to get this done, through the legal part of it and just getting it through the administrative part of it, I might ask them to extend that out just in case, so that way we don't have to do another contract before they get it done, because they, we thought maybe they'd already be going by now, but we had to make sure, we want to cover everything, so we didn't want to hurry and miss something we shouldn't do. So, and of course, we had to want to go through the council and everything. So, but it's taking a little longer to get that, just so we can bring this to you. It's taking a little longer for that, so we might move that up a month maybe. So.
What we're doing is we're going to ask the council to give the mayor the authority to enter into contract to do this, but we're not quite at that point. But we want to do it before we get another council meeting. But we're meeting with the attorney and the company, because right now they wanted to do it by load, and we said no, we're not going to do it by load. It's got to be by tonnage, because that is more accurate. They have to weigh all the trees that go out. As there will be some hardwood in there, and hardwood weighs more than pine, and so it's more cost effective, and so it would be better for the city. And we said we could not agree, so we've got to agree upon that price. And our attorney has gone through the forestry service and looked at the price that they're supposed to be, what the current prices are for hardwood, what the current prices are for pine, and the combination and mixture of that. So what we're asking is that you give the mayor approval to enter into this contract after it is rewritten by the city attorney and agreed upon by the city and the contractor. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Y'all have any other questions? Any comments? So entertain and requesting a motion to approve the mayor entering into a contract with the buyer on selected timber that was at the water treatment plant that needs to come out.
Make that motion.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. Is there any other discussion? If not, Kim?
Yes.
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 That has been approved. Next, not on there, but I want to go through some of the things the mayor's going to bring up. Right now, since the last several years, there's not been anything done to our city complex. Other than at one point, we put a new roof on there. We've had some outside painting. And so we started the process of doing the office area where the old council room was. We're trying to clean up the entrance of bringing people in. When people come into the police department or come in, it's really crowded, if you notice, getting in and out. And so the mayor was going to move an office over into that council area. So after we started looking at this, we kind of started on it, we said, well, we probably ought to do this right, and let's go to the council and ask for the money to just complete all of this project, putting new flooring in the city council and doing some painting in there and making this, upgrading the council, or the complex, just because it is pretty bad. The flooring is very bad. In fact, I think one or two times since I've been there, is we tried to have somebody come in and wax the floors, and that just wouldn't hold, and it's pretty expensive and didn't last. So we started the process of putting some flooring down there, which Jim Moore has helped us there to start, and he can verify, I think, with most of you council members that it does need some upgrading there. And so I've come up with the cost of the flooring and putting that on there. And so I'd like to request approval from the council to move $12,500 from the this fund of the capital improvements. And right now, Monica gave me a figure. We've got $522,980.75 in that fund.
Capital improvement fund, yes.
Yes. And so if we could move $12,500, that would complete that. We could have new flooring put out throughout. And this is not real expensive flooring. And as you know, you can't do a lot for that, but I think it's going to enhance it a lot. It's going to put it in, then our water department, where Deborah is located right now, that makes that a congestion, should move over to where Monica is right now, our office, and Monica would move where the mayor is right now, and the mayor would move back where that old council room with the wall put up there.
So you've got an open area there to work with.
Yes.
Rather than just that small line.
Yes, it would really help, and I know it'd help the police department, just
Right.
bringing people in and out there. It would be an overall addition to the complex, I think is worth.
But that'd be covering all the flooring in the whole.
All the floors of the complex.
And this is it's a vinyl plank, so it will be waterproof, right? Waterproof in that one.
Yeah.
They've got some of it laid, and it's really nice.
Yeah, so we started that, we just gonna do that one section there to stay that, but then we said, let's go to council and see if y'all approve us doing that. So that's a request that we'd be able to move that $12,500 and complete this job over there to.
I make a motion to move it.
Okay.
A second.
Motion been made and second that we move the $12,500 from the capital improvements into this fund. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
That is approved. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the COVID shots. Right now, in our first area, we've had at the senior center, we've had actually 98 first shots for the COVID vaccine that has been given in our senior center. And we like to say 100 because Kay and I, we got ours at the same place, not the senior center, but the same company. So we've got Mulberry people covered. And then today, there was 19 second time shots were given today. Next week, there'll be 51 second time shots in the next group, and then the week after that, there'll be more. And as soon as these groups have been given their second shots, we're hoping by that time that the governor will go ahead and get us into the second phase of phase 2 or 1A, or 1B. And that would be like 65 years old and older, plus your essential workers.
Right, he made that much for
He did make that?
Yes.
When is it gonna be effective?
They
I
said
didn't see.
immediately today with,
Is that right?
yeah.
So great.
I think he said today would be effective.
Well, I haven't heard that. Great, that's great news. And so the pharmacy told us that they would continue to work with us at the senior center. And so we can get people, if they want to get on a list, they can contact the mayor's office. And we'll put a list out, and we'll keep a running list of people that would like to get their shots at the senior center when that becomes available. So,
Have we had much resistance from boys?
no,
Okay.
you know, we've had several people that have wanted to know. In fact, I think right now on the list I have, it's like 125 names on it. And so we've taken and done 98 of those 125 names. So we'll have more to go. That's on the COVID shots.
So how many active do we have in Marbury? Do we have those figures?
You know, I did get that today. I don't have that active number right now, but I should be able to get that first thing tomorrow. And I can, get that to y'all on the number of active in Marbury. I know that it goes up and it goes down.
Okay.
And we have more than what we want, but I think we're going in the right direction.
Okay, it's going down.
I wanted to talk, we mentioned with the grant money that we applied for on the community, Mulberry Community Food Pantry. And Susie Ferguson has really worked hard on that. She's applied for grants through that, and she just recently received a $1,000 grant for some area. And then this last week, she received a $5,000 grant that can be spent in that. One of them, one of the grants come, Kay and I was in Little Rock, and Kay was waiting on me. She was in a hotel room, and she was watching television. She saw on there about Dairy Farmers of America was getting grants at. So Kay told Susie, and Susie said, okay. So apply for that. And so Susie applied for it, and she got it. So it worked out really well. So we want to apply for as many grants as we can, especially the ones that have no match. Non-match. I did want to mention too, a little bit more on our public works, how well the guys have done on this weather condition. They've really gone the extra mile on that. I want to commend them for that. I also want to commend our police department, Chief Gregory, and our police. They haven't missed a beat. They've been right there through it all. And they were on site 24/7 all the time, no matter what the weather was. And our fire department kept responding. And so I think when Mr. Julian there said the city wasn't prepared, I think the city was pretty well prepared because a lot of things in this area, it is attitude. And every employee had a really positive attitude about working through these situations and about getting work done. When we couldn't come to the office, we had people working from home. Sarah's been working from home a lot, and so having the availability of doing some computer work from home, we haven't missed a lot, even though sometimes might have the office closed, but work was still going on. And I can assure you that
And she was even able to change the phone messages at home because she was working from home and had her phone at home from the office.
Yes.
So, all of our city workers and all of our departments can really be commended for going through that. And I feel like that we work, and we work prepared. One thing that I would kind of clarify, some people, we could have gone out maybe and scraped some roads with our motor grader, but we found in the past, that it's actually safer, more effective for our condition, the amount of snow we had, to let people drive on the snow
Right.
versus grading it, becoming ice, and then becoming real slick. And Chief Gregory could attest to how that was out on the interstate after they graded it. And then the next morning, it was pretty treacherous out there. And so we didn't do that, but had the snow been higher to where it would have, warranted grading because of the depth of it, then we were certainly prepared to be able to go do that. And having our equipment ready to go with that. I wanted to mention too, that hopefully, y'all mentioned last time, you like these chairs, the chairs that we did have the year before. If y'all know of anybody that would like to purchase those or anything, plus we still have an old piano back there that would like someone to purchase, and it would be at a really reasonable cost. That's some of the things that I wanted to bring up.
I would like to say that you haven't mentioned JJ, but no, but a man had 2 dogs picked up, and before the weather, y'all went to him, the city, the police went to him and wanted him to come get them because they'd been in there probably 5 days or so, and this bad weather was coming. And he said, no, I'm not gonna come get them, I'll wait and go to court. So JJ, she was the only city worker out twice a day out there through all of this, feeding them and letting them play and exercise. She's setting her car with her heater on so they get exercise in there. If you ever die and you come back as a dog, you want to be in her pants. So anyway, I'm just.
That was certainly permissible for her, okay, to get up and say that, because she had told me this, and I was gonna say it, see, I wasn't through. But I do appreciate that, and, because she had talked to me about this previously, and we're gonna talk, in that, when we got to that. But, yes, we can really be, proud of all of our volunteers that, continue to work, and, JJ has, actually gone more than an extra mile when, everything's still going out 2 or 3 times a day. She made ensured that the animals there were, she got heat lamps that the water wouldn't freeze there for them, and she really did an outstanding job. So yes, thank you, Kate, for that. But,
You're welcome.
we wanted to mention JJ for the work that she's done. 1 minute. Yes, and I think that we have lined up with the volunteers for our finish up. Let's go around the group.
Yes, we talked about the food pantry, and I had seen, in case anyone else gets a call, the traffic is lined up down the street forever. I mean, but Susie Ferguson had went to all the houses of the people that are home when this first started and has spoken with them, and they don't have a problem with it. The ones that she had spoke with, and people will let them out. So that is not really an issue if, somebody's worried about, people getting out their driveway. And also, you were talking about the grants. Susie and I have talked, and she is trying to work on a grant to get something to where we can do some type of cooking classes for people, or at least help them use the food that they get through the food pantry and cook a healthy meal. So that's kind of exciting, so I'm kind of looking forward to that, she's kind of looking into those areas. She's doing a great job with the food pantry. And also, I received a call from Ken Wilson of the American Legion. They always put the flags out, for the different holidays. And they are gonna discontinue doing it. Because a lot of the people that are older and they don't have enough help to put out all those flags. Every once in a while, they will get some of the high school students. So he wanted me to mention that, to see if anyone knows of a group that will maybe take that over to put the flags out at the cemetery, or if the city would take over, they want to do it, but they just don't have enough help, and a lot of them, he said, are just getting too old to get out there and do that. So that is something, if there's a group that, I will talk to the Lions Club the next time we have a meeting, but if there's, someone else that.
Boy Scouts.
Well, and that's another group, so he just wanted me to bring it up and everybody kind of think about it and see if we can find somebody to take that over. I think they do it 3 times, maybe 4 times a year, they put the flags out.
Well, they do the flags, in the wreaths.
In the wreaths, so, and they're all locked up in a building.
Yes,
They have all of that stuff, but they would just, they would be there for them to use, so. That's something that, if anybody knows of anyone that will want to take that over. That's all.
I was just, as I was reading through our magazine, our Town and Country magazine, read the nice letter that the mayor put on there, and that beautiful picture he had on there. Handsome guy sitting over there. But anyway, as I was reading through that, I was looking at these towns that are utilizing this solar energy. And I was just wondering if we had checked in on that from all grid, or if that would be something that might be feasible for us to.
we have, yes, and we looked at, because we have OG&E and we have Arkansas Valley Electric in our area. So, to get 2 separate areas, it's some difficulty, and for the size that we have and the return that they have and the location of putting a solar farm, no one has really come up with a good system for that. And, but we have talked to a couple of different groups on that, but no one has actually made a proposal to the city for it.
Okay. I just wanted to check into that.
Mhm.
We want to check into it anyway.
Yes.
That's all.
I just want to say, do we keep track, JJ's a volunteer, she's not a paid employee. Are we keeping track of her volunteer hours?
She keeps track of her hours.
Okay, okay. I just want credit where credit's due, because we really appreciate it. And this all the things she gets,
Yes.
so.
Well,
Yeah,
and I did want to finish up to how important it is for volunteers. How important it is to the city. Any city has a difficult time if it wasn't for volunteers. And I wanted to talk about volunteers like we didn't have in our 2020 time. We didn't have a celebration at the end and everything. And I was going to mention Jim Moore. Jim Moore has done so much for the city and volunteered. And every time we have something, Jim's right there ready to go. And we really, really appreciate the volunteer time. And Kim taking care of the volunteers. And I've got a call today, and someone was asking about Plymouth Spring cleanup is. And Monica, the request has been made that we put that on the city website and on the city Facebook page of when the spring cleanup is going to be. And so I said, I will pass that on and get the spring and I think sometimes that we put that out in the water bill, is that right? We put it out in the water bill?
yeah.
So, yes, and so,
Is it April 19th? Is that so? I'm thinking.
I've got it on my calendar at home, but I don't know.
Um, 17th maybe?
17th though.
Kim keeps up with volunteers and runs our Keep Over Beautiful campaign in the spring ball. You know, I want to mention Bob Tweedy. He volunteers in so many ways with sound equipment, set things up for us. And we really appreciate Mr. Tweedy and all you do. Wilma volunteers. She's helped us so many times with putting together things with the COVID, making calls and volunteering. She was always ready to volunteer and help out in areas, every way. Wanted to mention about our council members and volunteers, and then want to mention JJ, the volunteers, and I hated that we didn't have the 2020 because everybody was getting that as a volunteer of the year. You're all volunteers, and I want to thank y'all. Thank you for volunteering, wherever you volunteer, and for putting this all together, along with the people that volunteer in the food pantry, and Susie and the other volunteers. We have a volunteer fire department. And so those volunteers, and Chief Gregory works to try to get reserve officers that will help out, which are non-paid volunteers. And then Julian's got a couple of volunteers working for him this week. We call them community service workers.
Next week also.
Yes. And we've got everything. I want to mention Bill Hurley back there too. He's kind of trying to hide. But Bill's a volunteer too. Bill has helped us up with setting things up. And so we've got a city of volunteers. And we're very grateful.
That's why we should be proud of our town.
Yes.
Yes.
Something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And I could go on and on if other people were here and we mentioned their names, like Kathy Mason. But anyway, I want to mention people that were here and people that were involved in about our 2020. So, we go around the room. Everybody? Monica.
I do want to mention, you did bring up something concerning the Facebook page. And I do want to let the council know that I'm completely unable to access that page, and I'm trying desperately to get into it long enough to be able to completely deactivate it. So we can start fresh maybe, because I absolutely cannot access Facebook whatsoever, the Mulberry City Limits page. We don't know if it's been hijacked. We don't know what the situation is. There's not any activity on it, and there's no devices signed in on it, but it is temporarily suspended and we can't access it. So we don't know why.
Can we start a new Facebook page? Just go ahead and start one, or do you want to get the other one deactivated first?
I do need to get it deactivated because it's tied to the email address.
Yes.
And we want to set the new one up with a professional.
Okay, exactly.
Okay. Anything else? Chief Gregory, do we have anyone sign up to speak to that?
No, sir.
Council, if there's nothing else, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Everyone in favor, say aye.
That's like having a girl too pretty or a car too fast, right?
That's the truth.
Oh, they say.
Good.
Hey, we're still gonna have to go. That restaurant you're talking about. Get together.
Yep.
I could have his dog right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the weather, yeah, the
He
weather.
had so many water pipes broken, he said, I'm gonna get